Okay.
Not.
5 scores! Rick Bud.
We've decided to get ourselves back in the game again with our podcast.
Rick Bud and Gary Madden.
Probably the craziest story that you're ever going to hear about hockey.
We're going to be coming back to you on a regular basis.
You are listening to Squid and the Ultimate Leafs Fan.
Hello, Canada and hockey fans of the United States and Newfoundland. And an extra big hello to Canadian servicemen overseas.
Welcome, everyone, to the Squid and Ultimate Leaf Fan Show. I'm Mike Wilson, the Ultimate Leafs Fan. Joining me, as always, my winger, Ricky Squid Vibes. Squid, as Yogi Berra once said, it's deja vu all over again regarding these Maple Leafs.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a rough ride. I mean, especially when you go into Chicago and lose 3-2. Like, I mean, there's a team that was at the bottom of the league last year, and then they win there and lose 3-2. I mean, a close game, but still a loss. And that's what, 3 in a row now, I think?
5. That's 5
in a row?
Yeah, including the overtime loss. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well you don't have Tanev. You don't have Stolars. You don't have Matthews.
Waz out now.
I mean, Waz out too?
Waz out now, yeah. Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Well,
that's
it just seems like it's rinse and repeat after another subpar weekend. I mean, they played better Saturday, as you mentioned, but I mean, better begins with a B, and the only letter that counts in this league is a W for win. So, there's no participation medals. And, again, it's the lack of depth. I mean, you got a winger like Steve Lorenz playing center in practice yesterday. He's looked projected to be playing center tonight, and yet they let David Kemp go without letting him hang around for a week or so till they see how things all unfolded. It's kind of a mystery what's going on there and what happened with that. And if his pricey contract was the issue, the general manager gave it to him, by the way. So I don't know.
Yeah. And so Vancouver picks him up and gives him 1.1 for the rest of the year or whatever it was, something like that. And I mean, I'm not sure it's going to get any easier.
Well, it's not. I mean, so let's try and break it down a little bit here. What's the most glaring problem you see with another week going by? And I mean, if it seems, folks, we had this conversation a week ago, we did. But in your view, what do you think is really standing out that's wrong?
Well, obviously, they're on the back end. They're missing Tanev a lot. I mean, he probably is their best defenseman, even at 35 years old. And I mean, defensively, they're struggling, and they're struggling to move the puck out of their zone and get on the attack. And when that happens, you've got problems.
Well, I mean, think about this. Most teams, to have a winning championship team, you have to have elite goaltending or very strong, maybe not elite, but you have to have better than average goaltending. You have to have a stud on defense, and you have to have a stud at center ice and your top line. In this case, the number one goalie's out. Their top defenseman, as you mentioned, is out. And not only is their premier center, but best players out. So maybe when those three get back in the lineup, maybe things do right themselves. But to me, it just looks like there is some desperation and panic have set in, but it's not the right kind, if you know what I mean. I mean, it's not sure if it's a coincidence or not, but when teams start losing, the injuries start to pile up, and we're seeing that right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a thing that happens when you're struggling. You end up getting injuries, and then it gets worse. And like I said, I'm not sure that this is going to get any better anytime soon. I mean, you're looking at a team right now that are sitting 4 points out of a wild card spot. Never mind a playoff spot, a wild card spot. So, I mean, until things turn around, and I'm not sure they will in the next little while.
Well,
So something might have to happen. Tree Living might have to make a move, one that maybe he doesn't really want to make, to get this thing turned around.
well, let me ask you this, and as a former player, when things go bad, the heat gets turned up by the fans, the media, the ownership. We all know that. But as a result, the GM's first move is to try and trade his way out of the slump, which usually doesn't work. And then when all else fails, the heat is when it's at a finally boiling stage, the coach has to go. And, so the GM isn't going to fire himself. Obviously, that'll happen at the end of the year, if anything, in fact, does happen on those regards. And I'm just talking about generally, not just maybe focusing on Leafs. But what stage of the process in that regard do you see the Leafs at right now? I think you just touched on you probably have to make a trade.
Well, in my day, we didn't have a good GM at any point. So, because Harold wouldn't pay for a good general manager. So it's kind of, I never really had a good general manager that could make those moves. But you know what? It's kind of like maybe one of the top guys may have to get moved for a bunch of guys to turn this thing around.
So let me ask you this, Squid, then. Okay, here's something I want to ask you. How about this? Is the bromance between Chief and Willie looking like there's some cracks in the armor? Because last week on the bench, he lost it on him on a lazy back check that resulted in a goal. Yesterday at practice, apparently he was all over him, screaming at him a number of times as well. Could you see a world where maybe 88 gets moved at some point? And I'm asking, not telling.
Well,
not because of that, but somewhere down the road, sits are thin.
First of all, I don't think that he responds to that type of coaching. He's not that type of player. I mean, he's a guy that you kind of have to let play, kind of get the wrinkles out a little bit, but he's the type of player and the type of person that I think you just leave alone. And yes, he's going to make mistakes. He's going to be late on a back check here or there. There's things are going to happen, but I just think he's the type of guy that if you get on him, I think that backfires.
So what about the thoughts that maybe some are, I mean, let's look at it realistically. They don't have any assets to trade. I mean, the first two players they're going to ask, any team's going to ask for is Knees or Cowan, and that's a solid no. Anybody else they have is just another problem they're trying to move out, and they're going to take somebody else's problem back. So what does that leave? There's nothing really on the blue line that you can move. So now you come back to the fact that, is there a chance that if this thing doesn't turn around in the next number of weeks or a month or so, could you move 88 and get something back?
Well, it's a strong possibility. I will say that because, like you said, they don't have any assets to move in the minors or draft picks or anything like that. So that might be the only solution is moving 88 and getting 2 or 3 decent players back.
Yeah, like you know how it works. Mike,
it happens all the time. I mean, teams move their best players sometimes, and I mean, hell, I got traded 3 times, and even after a 43-goal season in Chicago, I get moved the day after Christmas the next year. So, it happens. And I think the only way to kind of rebuild your team is to move one of your best players, because you're going to get at least 2 good players for them.
You hope.
Probably.
So let me ask you this.
Or you get 1 player and a couple of high draft picks.
Well, I mean, the other alternative is to sit and wait until we get closer to the trade deadline, or until somebody is really not going to make it, or they're going to struggle. Then you go after one of their assets, which they may possibly be a seller. But that's playing with fire, because even though people are saying the Leafs are only 4 points out of a playoff spot, remember, they've lost 5 in a row. And the fact is they're struggling. Like those 4 points are as a result of losing recently, not from the beginning of the year. So they've gotten progressively worse as the season's gone on. Now where this is a little stumbling block. So the question I want to ask you is this.
Yeah, I could see something happening maybe early December if things just continue the way they are. And
Mhm.
I mean, I think that's the only way out of it, really. When you break everything down, the only thing they can do to make this better is probably move one of their top guys.
So let me
And
ask you this.
you know,
Squid, you're
I know it sucks, but is there any other options? No, there isn't.
all right. Well, I mean, that aside for a second, and I agree with you. In your experience, let me ask you this: going back to the Willie and the Chief situation, it might be just a one-off, but the body language is looking a little different. The way he's looking at him, and in the response. And to your point, I just don't think like Willie just looks like if a guy just rolls off his back, and you're not going to really affect him. It's not going to really impact him one way or the other. Now, doesn't mean he doesn't care to win, but is the Chief walking a fine line here, going after him? Because look, when they start doing this, you know who, if that comes to a battle of one or the other, you know who's going to win. It ain't going to be the coach. So, in your experience, usually around the room, do you sense like when star players start getting picked on? Do you sort of sense then that maybe this little desperation seeping in on the coach, or is he just trying to shake things up? Which is probably a combination of both. But you know where I'm going with this. That the frustration is start getting to a real boiling point.
I think it's a combination of both, Mike, and then
yeah,
you know, he's getting. I wouldn't say desperate as a word, but it's getting pretty damn close to desperate for him to be doing that. You know, getting on one of his top players, and I mean, when that starts happening, then you can count on one of two things: either he gets moved for a couple of decent players and maybe or one in a couple of draft picks, or the coach is let go.
Well, and you know, especially when it's public, behind closed doors, no issue with that. You know, like that goes on every day, as you've told us in the past. That goes on all the time. But to be very public on the bench when you know the camera's on you, and then in public at practice when the cameras are all there, you know, that's really stepping out the bounds. Now, again, it's probably the competitive fire coming out and all that sort of stuff and heat of the moment and all those things. But let me ask you this. Dan Maloney benched you guys one time, and you guys were obviously the top line on that team. But have you ever had a coach attack you in front of the whole team like that as an example? Besides Maloney that time when he benched you guys.
No, not really. I don't think it ever happened. I mean, behind closed doors, yes. I had heated arguments with Dan, with Keenan, with other coaches, but I mean, that happens. And as long as it's behind closed doors in his office, there's nothing wrong with that.
Agreed.
But when you start doing it publicly on the bench or at practice, when you know there's cameras watching, then it becomes an issue.
Well, I remember we had Gabby on years ago on the podcast, and when he first went to Washington, Mike Green made a terrible mistake, and he went down and ripped his head off. And he realized that he looked down at the bench after a couple minutes, and Green didn't respond. It absolutely deflated him, killed him. And he thought, oh darn, like I went after him the wrong way. But the next day of practice, he identified it with himself, went to Green at practice, highlighted the issue, walked him through it, and realized I have to take a different approach to this kid because so that being the case, have you ever seen a situation where a player, for better or worse, acted one way or the other after coach did lay him out? Because I know there's been a number of instances when you guys played for Broke, he would go after guys. Anybody you can recall that did have an impact?
No, there's none that I can recall that a coach went after that they turned it around after that. It usually was one of the better players, and they would go in the opposite direction. So
there you go.
This might not have been a very good move by Chief to go after Nylander, because I'm not sure that he's going to respond to that the way he wants him to.
That's a very good point. And again, I know we're beating on this a little bit, but it is Leafs we're talking about, so it just goes without saying we have to do this. But when teams go bad, and they all do at some point, because this is a general comment for all teams.
Yeah.
It always seems that guys are trying not to make a mistake and play cautious. I mean, the old grip and the stick cliche. But as we mentioned before, when teams want to make a trade to get out of a funk, who's the first to go? Well, the guy making the glaring errors, or the guy who's turning it over or coughing it up the most, he's the obvious guy to go. And I can guarantee you, you can identify this better. Players do not want to carry that with them if they get traded, because all of a sudden they're thinking, I'm identified as the problem and I was moved out. They don't want that tag attached to them. I mean, speak to that as a player.
Well, I mean, yeah, you don't want that attached to you, obviously, but at the same time, I mean, the coach has got to do his job. So if going after Nylander, if he believes that that's going to change things, I mean, it's a coach's prerogative to do it. Now, does it work? Well, we're going to have to find out. We're going to have to wait and find out if it works or not, because sometimes that backfires on you. And then when that happens, everything goes down the toilet, and then the coach is gone.
Well, you got to remember, and it's all mental. I mean, it's a mental game. I remember Jim McKinney once said to us famously that, half the game is mental and the other half of the game is being mental.
Yeah.
and no truer words were spoken. And he's 100% correct, because, if that gets in a guy's head, all of a sudden he doesn't want to go anywhere near that puck. And we're not referring to Willie in this. This is any player in the lineup right now. So, but he's the type of guy. Watch, he'll score 2 goals tonight, and he'll have the same look in his face as he had the other night when Berube was screaming at him.
Yeah, I mean, he's that type of player. He kind of just lets things roll off his back, and I think that's a good thing to a certain degree. But at some point, you got to buy in to what the coach is telling you that he needs you to do. And, whether or not that's going to happen, I'm not sure. I don't know him that well, but I know that he's the type of player that it won't affect him in a terrible way. He's just going to go out and do what he normally does, which at the end of the day, if that continues, then you might see the coach get moved or let go.
Now, the other guy we want to touch on is 34, who's on the lineup right now, hurt. But, before that, we've touched on it a few times earlier when he was playing. He certainly does not look anything like himself, or the player we've become accustomed. But, again, we've addressed this, and you can speak to this better than anybody. That C added to his sweater. I mean, is this added that element of white noise that he's struggling to handle, do you think? And is it really affecting his game? Because this is his 10th year. He's been here long enough to understand that. And I've said to you in the past, I've never seen a player look so uncomfortable in front of a microphone as he does when he's addressing the media after a game or before a game, win or lose.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I've spoke to him quite a bit, different events that we've both been at. I'm not sure that he's the type of guy that can carry that on his sweater. And by that, I mean the C. And I'm not sure that was a great move. I know they wanted to change because he's one of the younger guys and the star of the team and that sort of thing. But at the same time, you got to be cognizant of the fact that maybe he's not equipped to handle that.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas a guy like Johnny was very well equipped to handle that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, I think, Squid, I think I speak on behalf of all Leaf fans. I think it's time for you to call your buddy there, 34, and go meet him for a coffee and have a little chat with them. So if that were to happen, what would be the first thing you would say to him?
Well, basically, just go do your job. Don't worry about the outside noise. Don't worry about, being the captain or anything. Just go do your job. And, well, I will see him actually on the 24th, probably at the Least in Legends, no, the blue and white night at the Royal York. So I will have a little chat with him and see what's up, and then we'll go from there. But I would just say, let's go do your job. Don't worry about being the captain. Don't worry about interviews or anything. Just relax, go play, do your job. When you're interviewed, don't hold back. Don't be shy to say something that you're thinking.
No, I'm with you. But again, it just looks like it's almost like they're trying to trip him up because he is so guarded in what he says. He looks like he just doesn't want to be ambushed. And you're right. He has to, I think, take a step back and relax. And if he's got something to get off his chest, say it. Don't go after one of your players. But if you want to say something as a generalized comment about the team, say it.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more. I think as a captain, if you're being interviewed, things aren't going well, and you have something to say about how the team is playing, don't, like you said, don't go after individuals because that's not your job. That's the coach's job and not yours. But in general, yeah, okay, we suck. We got to get better. We got to play better. We got to be mindful of what we're supposed to do out there and that sort of thing. Yeah, I mean, I don't have a problem with that.
It's funny. I had a conversation a few years ago. People don't understand really, maybe, not that I have any more insight, but to what goes on to wearing a C as a captain. When I had a chat with Dave Poulin about it one time, and he made a comment, you can, add to this. He made a comment that everybody thinks you just put the C on, you go around and skate around the ice, and you get to hold the cup if you ever win. But he said he'd spend his nights going, no, and you're laughing because you know what's coming, because he would spend nights out having drinks with a guy or having a beer with a guy or a coffee with a guy or dinner with a guy, trying to calm a guy down, trying to bring him into the fold. He's worried about getting sent down. He's worried about being in a slump. He's having a fight with his wife or his girlfriend or both or whatever, and he's putting fires out with the voice of reason that, a player can trust and talk to. So, I mean, it was a 24-hour a day job, and, it's going on all the time. And, you went through it.
Yeah. No, there's no question. I mean, there was times I went to restaurants with guys just to see what was wrong or, what was happening. Is there any problems? Is there anything I can do to make things better? That sort of thing. And try to calm them down and just, I mean, I would say the same thing. Just go do your job. That's all you need to worry about doing. You go out, you play hard, you do your job, and everything's going to be fine.
Hey, I'm going to put you on the spot.
Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, Mike. It depends on the individual.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right. And and again, the captain, as the voice of reason for the team, because you're together all the time, sort of the personalities of all your teammates and your buddies on the team and what guys are.
Yeah.
They're going to open up to you more than they're going to open up to a general manager or a coach. So you're sort of the voice of reason, and you're the listening board.
Yeah.
So here, I'm going to ask you a question here. Here's a book I'm reading. It's called The Toronto Maple Leafs, the 80s, Heartbreak, Hope, and Herald. And I'll give this guy a little shout here. Mark your Hey, Squid, it's not bad. Actually, so far I've been learning about a few interesting things. I'm going to put you on the spot here. So when Punch came in and made the trade for you and Billy, you guys actually had a pretty good team. Geez, they had Sittler playing with Pimon and Ronnie Ellis. They had you, Derlego, and they called that the punch line because all three of you were traded for you. You, Hickey, and Derlego. And they had the kid line, which was Laurie Boschman, Johnny Anderson, and Rocky Saginaw. I mean, those are 9 pretty good forwards. So anyway, you guys were playing better on the road than you were at home at one stretch. So now tell me if you remember this.
Yeah.
Punch, so you're playing Buffalo one night, and Punch checked you guys into the Westbury Hotel to make it seem like it was a road game for your home game one night.
Yeah.
And so the comment came out of him to the team was, send it back. This way you could curtail you guys going out drinking and partying and stuff like that and keep you in. And one of the players made a smart-ass remark that said, has he never heard of room service?
Yeah, I remember the night he did that. And I mean, I thought it was kind of crazy, to be quite honest with you. I didn't think it was necessary, but maybe he felt that it was going to turn things around, and who knows? I mean, he's a general manager. He can do whatever the heck he wanted to at that point. So if he thought that was going to help, then, I'm not sure it did, but it's more about the players knowing that the GM and the coach have their back and just go out and do your job. But if you don't do your job, then obviously the general manager has to do his job, and that is maybe letting the coach go or moving some players.
Well,
and that's exactly what happened.
Well, a funny story, you knew that was coming to an end, because I'll just add to that. So what he did another time was he had a bus pick you guys up in Oakville to drive you to the game to make it look like it was a road two, and not one player showed up for the bus. You remember that?
Yeah, that was going to. I think that was going to Buffalo.
Yeah, and not one player showed up.
It was in Mississauga where we.
Yeah.
No, we.
So that kind of tells you right there.
That was kind of crazy.
Yeah, I think I'm kind of losing control of these guys when not one guy shows up. Not even the guys who want to suck up to me didn't show up. So, that's not a good sign. So, Squid, we're going to watch with great interest as always, and we need to keep a stiff upper lip as Leaf fans. We always do. So today's quote is going to focus on staying positive even when things look bleak, and we seem to say that an awful lot. Besides, if you give up, it just makes it easier for your competition. So, here we go. Mm-hmm. And you're ready as always. I got this one for you today. Okay. And this one you got to think about.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
This is another thinker. All right. Here we go. No one can make you. Here we go. No one can make you feel inferior without your consent.
Ooh. I like that. So true.
Yep.
I mean,
yep.
Just look at what's going on now with Berube and Nylander. So I mean, exactly right. You got to be able to put that aside and just say, you can't do this to me, and I'm going to go out and show you that I can compete.
Exactly right. Well, we will see tonight in about an hour or so. We'll see how things go, and we'll see what happens with Will. As I said, Will probably scored 2 out, having assist be first star, and he'll be looking like Chief just screamed at him for half an hour. No look on his face. So, folks, don't forget to check out our Library of Squid and the Ultimate Leaf Fan podcast, all available on most of your podcast networks. Also, don't forget to mark December the 8th in your calendar. Rick and I will be broadcasting live from the Bottom Line in Toronto before the Leafs-Tampa game that evening. Come and join us. We'll be selling books, which all the proceeds going to ALS, the Super Fund, in honor of Mark Curtin, who started that and moved it forward. And I read about him today getting traded for Jim Rutherford, and I thought that was going to be the turnaround. They gave up on him. That was one of Punch's trades. So that was kind of funny. They were talking about this today. But Mark lost his battle with ALS, but we're not going to give up the fight that he started. So, folks, come and join us that night. Should be a fun night. And thanks for listening, and we're going to talk to you guys all next week.